Good morning. We are so excited to be back with our Webinar Wednesday series this spring. I am Allison Beasley, and I am a coordinator of parent and family programs here at the university. And today we are going to talk about current student scholarships so that you can share with your student what avenues there are here at the university for scholarships. And we are so excited to be joined by Amber Capel, who is with the Division of Student Life. And she is going to share a little bit more about herself and her background. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it right on over to her so she can share with you.
Thank you, Allison, and thank you all again for joining us for this portion of the webinar. So just a little bit about myself. I've been with the University of Alabama since April of 2011, and since then I've been in various roles, newly in this role as of this past September. But most of my time was spent in the undergraduate admissions office as the Assistant Director of Undergraduate Scholarships. So I know a little bit, of course, about entering freshman scholarships, but also current student scholarships as well. So thank you again, and we'll get started. So there's a very popular myth among current students on our campus, and that myth is that there are no scholarship opportunities besides those awarded through the freshman application. I think students sometimes come to campus and the freshman application is such a big event in their life, and scholarship applications to all of the institutions that they're applying for, because let's face it, there are a lot of scholarships that are awarded to incoming freshmen so that we can recruit the best and the brightest students, not only at UA but across the country. But I like to also tell those students that we're having conversations with about the freshman process, about the current student scholarship application process. And please, don't forget, when you get on campus every year at UA, you can apply for current student scholarships. And so these are also some things that I have heard students say in the past when they're thinking about scholarships as a current student. So I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say, I had no idea there was a current student scholarship application. Well, there is, in fact, and it's the exact same place that the freshman application is located. And a lot of the colleges on campus do a good job of letting their students know about the current student scholarship application. I know that there's one in particular, student services area on campus, that they give their students a card when they come in for their advising that reminds them of the current student scholarship application process. So the next thing I hear a lot, or have heard a lot in the past, is I don't have enough to put on my application since I'm just a freshman. Of course, that's mainly coming from the freshman class, because they have this perception that the things they did in high school aren't really applicable now that they're in college, or that they haven't had enough time to kind of get their feet wet and be involved in things on campus. I always recommend that the students at least get involved in one thing during their fall semester as a freshman, and be sure to reassure your students that they can put the high school information on their application as a freshman, because that was just the year prior. So scholarship committees on campus understand that freshman applicants for current student scholarships aren't going to have a whole lot to put for their college experience thus far. So they really do expect to see some high school information there. And also to note that they will have a full semester of information to put on their application, because the deadline for current student scholarships university-wide, this is a general university deadline, is March 1st. A lot of students think that if they don't have a 4.0 GPA, they're not going to get a scholarship. I can't say how untrue that is. Now, while it helps, there is a variety of different criteria that scholarship committees are looking for. GPA is, of course, important, but scholarship committees are actually also looking at, what is the student situation financially? Do they need more help? Are they working 3 jobs? Do they have student loans? What type of academic involvement have they had in the past, whether it be on campus? If they're a freshman, that would be in high school. What type of student is this? Are they very involved in service to their community? Do they have a certain passion or affiliation with certain things across campus or the community here in Tuscaloosa or back at home? So I'm going to highlight a few of the scholarship avenues here on campus for current students. And I'm just going to show you the list first, and we'll go into more specific details about each of these in the next couple of slides. So we have the general UA application, the student involvement specific applications, Scholly external application, and then the emergency specific applications. Now I know today we're just talking about mainly scholarship avenues, but I did want to talk about the emergency specific applications in case you do have students that you might know of that are in these types of situations where they do need emergency funding, and I want to make sure to highlight those resources on campus. Okay, so the general UA application, again, it is located in the same place where the freshman application is, so they would have all filled this, the freshman application out, and so this should be pretty easy for them to find, especially if they are freshmen. This was not too long ago for them, and so it's on the My Bama tab, and is under the admissions, scholarships, left-hand side, undergraduate students only, so the current student scholarship application, and then I've just pulled that up a little bit larger print so that you can see that. Now again, this is an application that is university-wide, so it's a March 1st deadline every single year. It's very similar to the freshman application. They're going to have almost like a resume portion of the application. So what are your honors and activities? What are your special circumstances that you might have? What is in your work experience thus far? So they can import a lot of information from a resume. I will say, be sure that you're encouraging them to save a backup or a Word document, not just of the application process here, but any application that they're ever filling out online, because we all know technology is not always 100% our friend. And so make sure they are saving a backup. Now, this application is going to have that resume portion, and so as long as they fill that resume portion out, they will be considered for all scholarships campus-wide that they are applicable for. So they don't have to worry about telling anyone what their major is or anything like that, because that is all information that the university community can pull based on a reporting system. Now, they're also going to see some specific scholarships highlighted on this application via checkbox. That does not mean that these are the only scholarships that they can apply for. These scholarships are a little special because they require something extra that cannot be given just based on their resume alone. So it might be a scholarship that requires an essay on patriotism, for example. And so within this application, these extra, documentation-based scholarships will be separated, and you'll see an essay-based scholarship section, maybe an employment-based scholarship section, so they must have a parent or guardian employed by a certain corporation to be, applicable for the scholarship. And then the last one would be, I'm trying to remember what the last one is, but you can see exactly what those look like, or the student can see. And so if they check that box, then they'll have to submit something extra along with this application. It's a fail-proof system. The application will not submit unless they've attached that documentation. Okay, so student involvement specific applications. Now these would be anything that is outside of that general application process. So an example would be if your student is in an honor society, honor societies across campus might have a different application process that they utilize. A lot of these types of scholarships are awarded during Honors Week every year. And so Greek Life is another example. UA Away, those are actually scholarships that we here in Student Life manage. And those are scholarships for students who would like to either do a work experience, a serving experience, or a study abroad experience outside of the university. And so those all have different deadlines, different applications. And so be sure that your student is asking all of the contacts that they have through their involvement on campus about different scholarship opportunities. I know that Honors College has some as well, so just make sure they're having those conversations. Now, also please do make sure that they're filling out the general UA scholarship application that's due March 1st, because that's also going to be a big part of this. But again, there are these kind of separate applications that are very, very specific to the certain things that students might be involved in on campus. Now, this is something that is very unique to UA and something that I'm personally very proud of, because when I was in scholarships, this all started with someone on my team kind of reaching out to Scholly and asking that they partner with the university so that University of Alabama students and applicants for admission can apply for external scholarships through the Scholly application without having to pay an additional fee. And so I'm going to first show you where this information is. And so this is on the undergraduate scholarships website, and it's just scholarships.ua.edu, and you'll click on types and then you'll look at external scholarships. So it lists some other resources there for you to explore, for your student to explore, but then you'll see the #1 slot talks about Scholly. And so again, we teamed up with Scholly so that we could provide access to their external search database for all students that have a valid Crimson email address. And so when they click on that, they'll fill out an application, I'm sorry, not an application, they'll make a profile on Scholly, and Scholly will match them up with scholarship opportunities across the nation that they might be competitive for. And so when they click on that link, this is the type of screen that will come up, and they will just register, sign up with their Crimson email address. And the last support program I wanted to talk about is, of course, emergency-specific applications. And so the Division of Student Life, Student Care and Wellbeing area on campus does such a great job of making sure that students have the resources they need. And so the main portion I'm going to talk about is, of course, the assistance application, but I did want to also highlight that there is a meal program for students who might have food insecurity on campus. And so again, that might not be your student specifically, but if you know of a student or you know of another parent or guardian that has a student in that situation, please do let them know that we have resources available. Now, the assistance application on the far right-hand side, once you click on that, it will take you to this page. And so these are the types of assistant type programs or applications that we have on campus. You'll see that on the left-hand side there under assistance. And then it will give you a very good description of how to apply. And so just highlight a few of these. The Tied Together Support Fund, of course, that is kind of tells you how it was established, but that is actually a fund that helps students in situations. For example, if a student has had a family member, parent, guardian that has become very sick, and let's say they're out of state and they do not have the funding to get back home to be with that family member, they can apply for assistance, and this is the type of program that can maybe help them get a plane ticket or something to that effect. Acts of Kindness was actually established in response to the tornado that came through Tuscaloosa in 2011. And so again, it's another kind of emergency relief fund for students who have some type of emergency due to an event, drastic event that's happened in their lives. And then the SGA Need-Based Scholarship is yet another one. Now, SGA does also have emergency loans that students can apply for. The only difference with that is that it will need to be paid back, whereas these other types of support are, once the student has that support, there's not any kind of repayment process for that. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone listening in. Again, I'm very passionate about helping students on campus and making sure that they have the resources that they need to pursue their academics and ultimately graduate and follow whatever career path they have, set out for themselves. And I wanted to show you a little picture of Big Al. So thank you again. And if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to either myself, or I would probably encourage you or have your students, encourage your students to reach out to their advisors within the departments that they're majoring in, because academic advisors are also kind of that hub, if you will, for student questions and concerns. Now, they're not going to have all the questions, all the answers, of course, but they're going to be able to point the students in the right direction, especially for scholarship support. So if you have a student that's in arts and sciences, their advisor should be able to tell them, okay, well, this is the scholarship contact for the College of Arts and Sciences, and they can get you the information that you need. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amber. We hope that that was some really great information. I did just want to reiterate that we are just a little over 2 weeks away from that March 1st student scholarship application. So that again is going to be due Friday, March 1st. So your students have a couple of weeks to get their ducks in a row and make sure that everything is completed, ask any questions that they need to before they finish filling that application out. So they still have some time. I will note that the Career Center has some resume critique walk-in hours this week in preparation for Career Fair next week. So if they need a resume critique for anything, if they want to submit a resume for any of their applications, please feel free to go to it, to encourage them to go over to the Career Center and get their resume checked out. But again, we want to thank Amber so much for all of her amazing advice and encouraging your student to explore all of their scholarship opportunities here at the university so that we can make sure all of our students are succeeding and persisting to graduation so that we can make sure they have the best experience here at UA. As always, if you have any questions for parent and family programs, please feel free to email us, parents@ua.edu, or call us. 205-348-8330 is our local number. Our website has tons of information. It's just parents.ua.edu, and we look forward to seeing you back again next week with another episode of our Webinar Wednesday. But today we are signing off, and we will say roll tide.